And I want to address this issue of morality because I grew up, right after World War II, when it's just assumed in the atmosphere that the United States needed to go everywhere. Democracy was on the march. World War II was the Great War, although one of our most central allies was Joe Stalin. We made a Mission to Moscow was a movie made during the war that painted Joe Stalin as an avuncular, sort of happy-go-lucky individual there, after the genocide of the Ukrainians and the kulaks and everybody else. But, after all, it's a great war, so we have to sort of squint at your allies. But after World War II, it was just assumed, hey, the United States needs to go everywhere. The Berlin airlift, we need to bring democracy all over the world. We were fighting communism. Communism was the bad guy, sort of the precursor of international terrorists. And we were the good guy, so we need to go abroad. Any country, no country was too small. Belgian Congo, okay, if we have communists there, U.S. has to have their person there. And we remember Patrice Lumumba, the CIA tried to assassinate him because, after all, the Congo was so critical to our foreign security, our national security. And we need to relieve ourselves of this kind of what I consider dementia. Why is it thought, in even the most fundamental way, let us suppose that we did not conduct the Berlin airlift in 1948. Let's suppose East Germany overtook West Germany. We at that time, 1948, we had the sole nuclear weapons in the planet. We're the richest country in the planet. We had the most technologically advanced military, a huge booming economy, dominated international trade. And I'm not saying that we wouldn't, as human beings, sympathize with people who are subject to oppression. But would we really worry about someone invading the United States of America at that time? The whole idea is preposterous. That's what defenses and deterrence is all about. And even at the high water mark of danger in the Cuban Missile Crisis, the Soviet Union flinched. I remember Robert McNamara came in, defense secretary in 1961, and Kennedy had campaigned on there's this huge missile gap, he said, to try to paint the Republicans and Eisenhower as weak on defense. This is how he was showing himself that he was muscular and he was going to bring the new frontier all to the world. So McNamara comes in, he says, all right, now I've got to now count, see where this missile gap is to see what kind of rectification is in order. And he does a study and says, yeah, we've got 1,050 long-range missiles and the Soviet Union has 34. We got a missile gap, it's all in our favor. We'd inflated the danger millions-fold to justify, we've got to go everywhere. We need to save the world. We're the good guys. And all the rest of the world, our opponents, are the bad guys. Again, we have to distinguish very clearly when we think about foreign policy between what's appropriate for our government to do and coerce citizens and what people can volunteer to do. I don't deny someone may volunteer abroad and go help the Congolese fighting in the East Kosovo or whatever and to prevent a genocide there. They may get a Nobel Prize, and I would commend them. The United States has no business sending a single soldier there, just like they have no business being in Kabul, no business being in Baghdad, no business being in Seoul or any place else. We have $1 trillion. And think of how counterintuitive it is. We spend on defense and intelligence and the Energy Department's nuclear security program $1 trillion a year, which is greater than probably the next 25, 26, 27 countries combined. We're the most powerful military ever in history. And we think that we need a perimeter 12,000 miles away to defend ourselves? We are not strong enough to just have our deployments here with anti-missile systems and intelligence that we can deter anybody from invading. The last country that, in fact, invaded the United States was Great Britain, burning Washington, D.C. in 1812. Nobody else has even come close. Why would they do that? We could incinerate them. And now, foreign countries they're interested and run by people who want to stay in power. That's why people like Hugo Chavez still sells us oil, because he needs the money to prop up his bankrupt economy. Iran would sell us oil if we would buy it. So we don't need to worry, in my judgment, that our defenses will not deter people. Now, surely it can be true, as there are an individual, just like murder laws and the prospect of the death penalty doesn't deter every single murders, and we have tragedies and we apply the laws. It may be that you'll get a handful of people who may try another 9/11. That's always going to be a possibility. We can't eliminate it to zero, but it's not likely to happen. But if it does, that in some sense is the price of freedom and liberty. And I know I'm probably overstaying my welcome here. I talk about the book more in the question and answer, but this is what's key in my judgment in rethinking who we are as a nation. You know, one vision of the United States is, hey, we want to be risk-free. We're so tough and powerful. We shouldn't have to take any risk at all. Anything that makes us safer, we're for. Throw out due process, throw out habeas corpus, make us vassals, keep it secret. We'll accept it. You know, we can't have public trials anymore because maybe the enemy will know who we captured. And if we have a public trial, they'll know we may have penetrated that particular cell. So we can't have trials anymore. Make us safer. That's what the arguments are now about how you treat, suspected terrorists. We can't give them any rights at all because maybe it'll clue the enemy into something. Now, this is what I call an attitude of effeteness, of utter moral compromise, where we're so frightened of our shadow, we would give up all the reason for freedom for some marginal increment of safety. Now, there's another vision of the republic that the founding fathers had, and I think it's enshrined in the Constitution. And it is that we have to take some risks for freedom to breathe. That's the oxygen of freedom, because everyone is capable of evil. If you want no risk, we're all in prison. Who can go and swear that they can have incapable? They've built with DNA that makes it impossible for them to ever commit a crime. No one can do that. And so the idea of a republic is we treasure freedom more than absolute safety. We will take not stupid risks, but some risks inherent in the human condition in order to live free and give people the opportunity to flourish and to be the center of the universe rather than all power to the government. And that's really, I suppose, my final words in conclusion about the two visions of America. One that we need to take back. The individual is the center of society. The individual is the one whose freedom we cherish. Give them the opportunity to practice their endowments, to reach their own set of fulfillments, with government limited to providing law and order and the opportunities, the playing field, if you will. And then there's an alternate vision. No, the government is the center of society. The government gives us jobs. The government pays for our defenses. The government goes everywhere to try to make us absolutely safe. It is the centerpiece of all that we do. Social Security, pensions, jobs, what have you, trillion-dollar deficits. That's something the founding fathers repudiated. They thought that was reprehensible. They wanted small government, lean government, the individual the center of society, but that is the psychology of a republic that needs to be restored if we're going to take this country back away from the empire mentality that's brought disaster to the United States of America. Thank you.